Welcome back to another episode of Lawson Farmers Market Garden Shorts. Now, before I get into today's topic, which is the specimen plant you see before you, and boy is it lovely, I just want to point out, or rather relay to you, what has been posted on the blog as of this week. It was actually the October 2nd update. The blog updates every 2 weeks, mind you. In theory, life happens. But what I want to say to you is that starting in 2021, we're going to go to a 1 video per week format. That's 52 weeks, so 52 episodes. Not counting bonus content, which will be usually Redux episodes. Redux, in this particular case, means I go back to an old video and redo it entirely, hopefully with either a better specimen, more information, or more clarity. There are a few episodes, like some of the early ones, that I want to reshoot because I feel that they just weren't that great. They could have been better for whatever reason. Fair, right? Everybody should get a redo if they're not confident in what they did. Now, you're going to get the same quality, actually you're going to get better quality, and I'm also hoping to maybe get some better microphone equipment and some other tricks, I mean, I need a better pointer stick than this thing, but it helps. Now, let's get into the subject matter for today, shall we? The plant before you is kind of rare in our climate. Most people will not be able to identify it on site. This plant is henna. Now, some of you are going, henna? What? And some of you are going, wait, no, wait. Yeah, it's that henna. As in the henna that is used to make the brownish, kind of reddish dye that is used to make temporary tattoos. An actual, show-enough henna plant. Look at that. Now, I grew this sucker from seed. I can tell you that is not an easy endeavor, my friends. Not easy at all. This is not a perennial in our climate, and the seed requires special treatment, just maybe to germinate. And out of a package of, I think, 20 or 25 seeds, 3 germinated, despite me following the instructions to the letter, and only this one magnificent bastard made it. And you better believe I'm not letting winter get this one. Nope. Now, its scientific name is Lawsonia inermis. Now, that's interesting. Inermis means unarmed, which refers to the fact that there are no spines, prickles, thorns, nothing. Inermis is Latin for unarmed. Now, Lawsonia, that's interesting. It was named by Linnaeus himself for a friend, Isaac Lawson, a Scottish physician and botanist. It helps to have friends in the right places, doesn't it? If you notice, a bunch of plants have names like this. And I love digging these little stories up, like with the Rudbeckias, named for Rudbeck, and all that. It's fascinating. Well, I mean, I go complete plant geek, and then my dinner guests' eyes glaze over, and they go, oh God, he's doing it again. But I get excited, and I can't hide it. Anyway, so it's in the Lythraceae family, and it's native to parts of Asia. Now, there are a bunch of different plants that fall under the context of henna, but this is usually the one used for the dyes. So, there is that. In terms of USDA hardiness zones, it's hardy in zone 10, which makes me feel forever alone. But no, seriously. So you have to bring it in for winter. There's just no questions about it. 2 zones. 1 zone you might be able to, kind of maybe in a microclimate, maybe kind of shorter. Not with 2 zones. That just means you done screwed up. And then the banjos start playing. But whatever. Now, its exposure is full sun. Its height, since it can actually be a bush, if not onto a small tree, is up to 19 feet, with a width of 10 to 12-ish feet, naturally speaking. But what's interesting is the soil pH. Growth specifies that it has alluvial soil and a pH range of 4.3 to 8.0. Whoa, that's some crazy pH range. That's like super acid to just barely above neutral. Neutral being 7. Now, that means that it would naturally be growing somewhere near a riverbank, and by alluvial soil, it would be getting regular deposits of alluvial or deposited nutrients and dirt. Does this sound familiar? Because we did a video on another plant that has the same requirement. No guesses? Nobody in the class? No? Figs. Figs love alluvial soil. That's why if you ever find a fig near a running body of water, it's massive. Because it's getting everything it needs from the action of water and the silt deposits that are dropped. Figs have very few major roots and a lot of fibrous feeder roots. And I imagine this majestic, rare, lovely probably has the same thing, but for now it's in a 4-inch round pot. Eventually it will take over the world. But anyway. Now, it has some alternate names. And this is where it gets fun. And the list of alternate names was immense. So I picked the interesting ones and the ones that I was confident I could pronounce, because some of them were just like, whoa, nope, too many vowels, nah. So, Alcana, Egyptian privet, Jasmine, Jamaican mignonette. That almost sounds like a racial slur. Is that real? Is that real? Yeah, okay. Mendi, Reseda, and smooth Lawsonia. I swear, that mignonette, that does not sound right. But whatever, we're going with it. I'm probably mispronouncing it. It sounds French, but if any of y'all out there have a proper pronunciation, or let me know if I butchered that, please leave a comment. Let's move on, though. Medicinally. Now, again, I'm going to say this. If you're going to take any herbal substances or vegetable substances to treat ailments and or illnesses, consult with a qualified professional before you do. For all you know, what you're taking may turn your skin blue. Like that fool who took colloidal silver and his skin is forever dyed blue. They jokingly call him Papa Smurf. I think you know who I'm talking about. I don't really know how many carrots it took to turn the current president orange, but anyway, I'm not going to go there. The point is that you should consult qualified and certified professionals from which you can verify the certifications before you take anything like this medicinally. Now, medicinally speaking, it may or may not, and I'm sticking may or may not in there as a cautionary, treat dandruff, eczema, scabies, fungal infections, and wounds. Now, it doesn't specify, the sources I looked at do not specify what kind of wound, so I'm thinking you won't stuff a bunch of henna foliage in a sucking chest wound. Ew. Anyway, moving along. You won't do that. But, also it says the oil may be used to treat headache. May or may not. So to speak. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, again, these are the things that multiple sites agree on. Some of these sites, I sit there and I go, yeah, your credibility is a little, it's flapping in the wind there, pal. But anyway, that's what the sites seem to agree on. There are no official references. In fact, in my library of gardening books, there's no reference to growing henna whatsoever. It's apparently unheard of. How crazy is that? So here I have a henna plant, and I guess you crush up the foliage to make the dye. There's so many ways that they say you can make the dye to do the tattoos that it's not even funny. Some say you roast the leaves, some say you dry them, some say you use them fresh, some say you snort them. Yeah, no, really, some of them say that. Some say you do oil pulling and you spit it out. Ew. But anyway, these sites do not agree. I'm just relaying the information for your benefit out there. Now, as for nutrition, do not eat this plant. Do not eat this plant. None of this. None of that. None of that. None of this. None of this. None of it. Why do you not eat this plant? Because it can cause severe gastrointestinal distress. As in bloating, farting, diarrhea, explosive diarrhea, puking, spinning around, being possessed, having to get an exorcist, the whole 9 yards apparently. It's kind of biotoxic when taken internally, which is why I say always consult a qualified practitioner before you do this herbally. Externally, it's fine, and the extracted oils apparently are fine within reason, but you may or may not be allergic. I mean, if it's going to mess you up internally, you might be allergic. But that's how it is in the garden business, really. That is exactly how it is. Some of the rarest and prettiest things, and I hear this thing has a gorgeous flower, but it's a couple years out. They're overwhelmingly toxic, or they have features that'll mess you up. I mean, I covered pineapples a few episodes ago, and what I didn't mention was that the tips of the leaves are sharp as all get out and go right through PPE. And the edges of the leaves, because this is still a bromeliad, have sawtooths that will cut you and lacerate you, and this is their defense mechanism against grazing. Well, defense mechanisms against grazing sometimes are not spines and so forth. Inermis indeed, huh? However, sometimes they're poisons. And so this plant will jack up your gastrointestinal system, and assuming you don't, crap yourself to death and die of dehydration, which, I mean, that sounds like the topic of a 50 song, crapping the night away or whatever. You learn from the lesson, hopefully. Some people don't. I mean, I went to college with a guy who believed us every time we said you could eat something, and he'd always ask if you could eat that. And boy, when we got to the dumb cane, we had fun with him. I digress. Anyway, so that's pretty much the summary of henna for you. It is, again, a pretty rare plant to have. This is not a plug, but I will point out that I bought the seed through Pine Tree Seeds. They have a great catalog and all kinds of crazy stuff in it. I don't recall it being too particularly expensive, maybe like $2.95 for the packet. One plant out of the packet is pretty good, considering I had no idea what I was doing other than following directions. Oh, the directions were to put the seeds in a moistened towel, and then stick that towel in the freezer for 4 days, and that's their stratification period. Now, this is where I'm going to go into biology of plants here. Stratification is basically a preparation method for plants. Now, you're more probably familiar with this. If you have to soak seed overnight and they swell up, that's stratification. Moonflowers, when you nick the seed coat to let the water in so they can swell up, stratification. That's actually, that specific damaging the seed is called scarification. It's a type of stratification. It means you're doing some kind of damage to get past the waterproof seed coat so the plant can do what's called imbibation, or basically drinking. I mean, that's really it. If you want to think about it, I mean, seeds are like alcoholics for water. But, there's also a form of scarification that involves stomach acids, which goes into that, that special Sumatran civet coffee that has to pass through the digestive tract of a cat. No, thank you. I don't want poop coffee. I like coffee, but I don't like poop coffee. I draw the line at poop coffee. No poop coffee. No poop coffee. No. See? See? Even the plant agrees. Look at it. Yep. See? It agrees. No poop coffee. Anyway, that is a form of scarification. In fact, when birds eat fruit seeds, like the Carolina cherry seeds, and they poop them out, and then the plants come up, that's because it was beaten up in the digestive tract and passed. There are certain seeds that will pass, like, when dogs eat tomatoes and poop, and then tomatoes come up where they pooped. Same thing. It's gross, but it's true. And there are certain seeds that have to be burned and heated, like pine tree seeds in the pine barrens and so forth, in order to germinate. This is actually a survival feature of life. To ensure that there isn't overcrowding, and to ensure that certain events that would knock out competition, like wildfires will kill things that would compete with the seedlings, it means that the seedlings have a chance to survive. So it is a biological survival strategy. Not great for humans. I mean, when you think about it. I mean, hey, before we have this kid, I gotta set you on fire, hon. Terrible idea. But that's how that biology works. Now, it is fascinating because what it does is it changes the chemical composition in the seed to ready it for germination. Actually, an interesting one, I have to point out. If you've ever heard of Echinacea paradoxa, and I did a video on coneflowers and Rudbeckias a while back, and I talked about this. Echinacea paradoxa requires stratification in a specific type of acid to induce germination. It's just weird, and it's normal for us in the plant business, but you guys out there, you lovely people who devote time to watch my insane videos, you may or may not have any idea of how crazy the plant world is. I mean, we don't need to look for space aliens to find wondrous stuff. There's crazy stuff right here on Earth. But I'm going to leave you with that. That's all I have for Henna and my rambling diatribe about the difficulties of seed germination. That was not a plug for Pine Tree, mind you. But anyway, if you like this episode, please like and subscribe, leave a message. This is our 51st episode. We're going to continue producing episodes until the end of the year because I'm sure y'all need a break from the insanity that is politics right now. So you can definitely find it here. Now, one last note. Again, hit up the blog. You'll see what our plan is for next year. I put it in writing. There are lovely photos up there. Sometimes they can join with what we're doing here. Sometimes they don't. And that's all we got for you. So as always, folks, keep them growing. And thank you for watching, folks.